You are the power of this cosmos. You are pure intelligence. You are unspeakable beauty. You are in perfect harmony with the entire cosmos. Stars and unknown stars, sun and moon, air and light, the beautiful plant kingdom of Mother Nature, the waters. This is your context. Male-female collaboration in same-sex or opposite-sex intimacy, that power is yours. And you're allowed to have that.
Well, welcome everybody to the Heart of Yoga podcast. And I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Susan Swan, from Los Angeles, from Larchmont Village in Los Angeles. Thank you, Susan, for giving us some of your time.
Oh, it was lovely to be here. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. Susan, you're in your teaching sanctuary, in the room that you teach from, that you've been teaching from for years and years. You were a well-known yoga master in Los Angeles, teaching at Yoga Works on Larchmont. You were doing very well in life as a yoga master in Los Angeles, this huge place of yoga in the world, in the United States. And then on a fateful day in your yoga class, something happened. Could you describe what happened that day?
Well, yes, I was teaching triangle pose with a large room of people. And I have been told that I fell to the floor and my daughter-in-law was in the class and she was alerted because something is wrong. She just said her foot is in the wrong place. And so they got the medics and they rushed me over to Cedars-Sinai Hospital. And I guess I had a huge stroke in front of everybody. Yeah.
Right.
And it was like a little movie that was held up. I had little visions and then nothing. And then I knew that I was in an ambulance, and then I knew which street I was on. Yeah, but it was like a little bit here and there. So,
were you devastated that day?
Say again?
Were you devastated that day when that happened? What was your response? If there could be a response?
The first response I had, I looked at this young man. He was new to my class, and his eyes were like, oh my God. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm troubling you. And then there was nothing. And then, very little glimpse of what is going on. But when I was at the hospital, I knew something was terribly wrong.
Right.
But yeah. Well,
you gave them a major, perhaps the finest yoga lesson that you could give them that day. Really. For them your students to adjust and understand on that class that day the inevitable decline of all life of everybody there. and you demonstrating that decline and that very difficult event in front of your students. Like, wow, what a yoga lesson that was.
I don't know. I think they got scared.
Yeah. They're probably still learning from that lesson today. So, Susan, they whipped you up into the hospital, and I recall you telling me that your mind had gone. There was not a capability for normal thought and cognition.
Mostly the speech, because I have aphasia. It's a speech, that's where the stroke really hit in my Broca area of the mind. So, you are under the care of the hospital and things are coming and going and, and I realized that it was, I wanted to kind of meditate because I was just on a high alert, And so one of the things that I realized or came to realize that I said, well, I can't sleep, so I will count my breath and maybe I'll fall asleep. And so I started to count and I couldn't count behind further than one. So I said, well, a couple times I said one. So then I had to give myself a little talking to. I said, well, you can only take one breath at a time. So let's begin. One.
Wow.
One. So it worked, one breath at a time. And I guess the lesson for me is that we live one breath at a time. And there's a lot of wisdom there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Or it's just...
Yes, well, that is, we could just stop there. That's the wisdom that you give us is one breath at a time.
Yeah.
Each moment.
Right.
Is different from any before it. Each moment, it's different. It's now. One breath at a time.
Right.
It's a kind of a gift that the event gave you.
Yeah. The whole, everything has a silver lining, but truly it is true. You have to look at the positives from this cataclysmic event.
Yeah.
You have to pick up the pieces.
Yeah. The other thing you told me, Susan, at that time is that there were no words. There was no speech.
Yeah. Right.
But there was a word that you somehow...
They're in... Yeah. You can't... I couldn't get them out.
Right.
But I would say Eileen. I don't know. I have a friend, but she has a pet name. But my daughter would say, good morning, Mom. And I would say, Eileen. And do you want water, Mom? Eileen. Everything is Eileen. So I had to relearn to speak, just like I had to learn to count again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the one word that you could cognize lying in that hospital bed, what was that word?
Eileen. I think that.
Right.
Yeah, this word, this name.
Right.
But
I got it.
yeah, and then once I got into the rehab part of the hospital, the speech therapist would come, and you get like trying to get the words out. You have them in your mind, but you can't get them out.
Right.
And so then I swore, because I was frustrated. And she goes, "That's great." Because the first, well, not the first, but something that you were used a lot,
Right.
there's the speech comes back from there, and you just have to work at it.
You were telling me at the time that there was a word that came to you, and the word was om.
Oh yeah, when I was doing my meditation. Yeah, sorry, that's very true.
It's all right. You had a stroke.
And so I was counting, and I would go one om in my brain.
Yeah.
One om. Yeah. Thank you. I forgot that part of the story.
We're allowed to forget a lot of things. You've had a stroke, and you've had aphasia, and I just want to say, Susan, that it's very generous of you to come and speak to me and to my friends here who will listen to this dialogue without a completely, adequate mind of speech. You are still suffering this symptoms of losing the mind and losing the words, where you know the word, but you cannot make a connection linguistically to it. But I think that was a very, seems like a profoundly useful word for you to have remembered.
Absolutely.
The absolute condition of reality, the unconditional conscious light of being, om, the absolute reality of existingness that is radiating as everything. You remembered that in the midst of losing the body and mind function.
Right.
There must have been some power, some gift given to you in that remembrance that day.
It was a lifeline,
Yeah. And you sort of stayed with that. You stayed in a meditation of that, a contemplation of that number one and om. Number one and om.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like it could be a John Lennon song. Number one, om. Number one, om.
Oh, goodness.
Really, I love
dear.
it. We could just leave it at that. That's a good conversation in itself. And slowly, the next syllable came. There was Eileen, and there was om. And then another came, and another came.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like I said, probably swear words came
You needed
rapidly.
You needed a few of those at the time.
Yeah. So you rebuild, it's like having your mind goes through this tornado. So you come out and you look around and say, oh, everything is torn asunder. So you start to collect all the pieces,
Yes.
especially the words, and you put the file cabinets up and you start to file the usable words.
Yes.
And it's still, I'll reach into the file cabinet and the brain says, oh, here's a word, and it might be arm and you mean leg.
Right.
So you have to hold the mind and say, go back, find the right word.
Yeah. Well, look, I have such gratitude and huge admiration. Yeah. Complete admiration. I adore you and admire you as much as anybody could admire anybody, really, for many reasons.
Thank you.
Being you, and for you having the fortitude, the courage, and the generosity to continue. You know, you took it in your stride. It seemed to me you didn't break pace in your life, even in the midst of a massive stroke. You just, and I'm recalling a day when we were all together at Esalen in California, Big Sur. And one day, and this was like a month or so after you came out of hospital. You struggled up there. Somebody drove you up and you're at Esalen. And there was a young woman who was in a bit of a crisis at the time, who was speaking in the group. At that time at Esalen, you had no speech capability. Or you might have been a few little chats with friends and family here and there, but you were definitely not making any, group dialogue or, public discussion at the time. But you had such passion and compassion listening to the woman who was in some trauma at the time.
Yeah.
And I witnessed you gather your body, sit up straight, and you sort of said, wait, look. And you talked to that dear person.
Yeah.
And
I remember.
Yeah. Gave them your heart.
She was. It was very moving, and I wanted to reach out to her in simple words, and I did so. And it was a lesson for me, even though my speech was halted, and but I did it, and I think she heard me.
Yes.
From my heart more than from the words. Yeah.
And I just want to mention that woman is doing really well today in her life.
Yes.
In the pandemic.
Yeah.
She is
going on to be flowered like
she is blooming.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Thriving.
Blooming in her own garden. And I know that you were agency for her at that time. Yeah.
Well, we had a moment. I think it was a real
yes.
connection.
And that leads me to speak of one thing I heard about, is that at the hospital in those days, as soon as you were capable of getting up, being upright and moving around, you began to give moving and breathing in ways that is right for each stroke person there,
You're right.
you began to function in your role as yoga teacher then and there at the hospital
Right. Right.
in a very natural way.
Yeah, I mean, you go, they take you to, a gym, and you have to do some PT, and you see people struggling. So on the sly, I said, well, raise your arms and exhale, bring them down. And, that's yoga. So somebody was witness to that, one of the nurses. So I had a little time to teach a small group of people for just 10 or 15 minutes. Even though I didn't have the words, we would do, little twists.
Inhale.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Inhale.
Yeah. So it was nice for them, and it was really nice for me to have some, again, grounding, and I can do something.
Right.
And then when I came home, after a while, I have a group of students, friends, really, that we've been doing yoga together for many years in my little studio. And they would come anyway, and I would gesture and lead them kind of silently, until I got more words to come through. And we still meet now on Zoom, and
Right.
It's only grown. Yeah.
Right.
So that.
See, what I see here is that your function as a yoga teacher, capital Y, capital T, yoga teacher, your function as the nurturing force of life, you might say the nurturing source of life in local community, never stopped. Your function as yoga teacher never stopped. Never. You might have a little bit of downtime while you had to lie there in one breath at a time, one om at a time. As you gathered, rested and gathered some function of body and mind. However, your function as the nurturing force of life in your community never stopped. You took it in your stride and continued then and there in the ward. And as soon as you came home, your sangha, your gathering of friends came around you, and you all continued to practice.
Yeah, that really lifted me up and got the really hard times.
Yeah.
You just want to give up, and then, well, I have a commitment. Well, these people are coming over and we'll do some yoga.
Yeah. So your friends, your students supported you, and you supported them in this nurturing force that is life itself.
Yeah. That equal partnership.
Yeah.
Getting through.
Susan, I just want to mention, we're in Fiji and through a major devastating cyclone. It was the worst cyclone in the history of Fiji. the great trees all around the coastline were totally stripped bare, and the salt water kind of like poisoned the trees, and suddenly it looked like autumn in Fiji, brown leaves and branches. Within about 5 days, the green shoots of new leaves came all over these trees, just like that. Mother Nature, force of photosynthesis, light, nurturing, the nurturing force, which is life itself, reality itself. No holding back Mother Nature, no holding back Mother, the nurturing force. And I just wanted, making an analogy here to your life. It was immediate, stripped bare, but no delay, new life, new blooming.
Well, and it kind of one more step into it, like getting the injury to your brain. The brain has that same power to go. All the little tendrils can go around the damaged part of your brain and reconnect.
Right.
And if you do the work, it will sprout, and a lot you can reconnect, gain out of the just work and time. The brain will, So
grow new leaves.
It's a nice
new leaves, new pathways, new receptors. Yeah. No, I get it, and you got it. And I know that this unitary movement of body, mind, and breath, which is yoga, is what you are calling the work, or some of the work is this yogic practice of direct
and just
face of reality, which is a nurturing force.
Yeah, and just linking it all up again,
Right.
Mind, body, breath.
Yeah.
And doing some simple movements.
Yeah.
And nurtures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the mind is the entire nervous system of the whole body. So when you move the whole body in a unitary movement of body and breath, the mind is linked to the whole body. Therefore, the mind develops its renewal and new pathways and so forth.
And back to the Om and counting, you going back to the basics, the guru of the breath is the cat's meow. It is the teacher, finding in the breath instead of getting your mind going, oh, I have to do this pose. No, you don't. You just have to get into being.
Yeah. Move and breathe in the way that is right for each person, for their body type, age, and health.
Yeah. And my practice has completely changed. I'm an older person now and had some other issues, and then the stroke. And so it's, that, well, I used to be able to do, and that's a challenge, and you have to come back, center, start again.
You were a hot LA yoga gymnast, Lululemon wearing yoga beauty of LA.
Well, that was a long time ago.
You could do all the stuff. You were amazing.
Yoga.
Oh, so you had a stroke and your practice changed. Okay, fair enough. And But the point you're making is this unitary movement of body, breath, and mind is the practice and always has been the practice. And I don't mean to put down younger athletic people who can do a lot of classical asana, but I am making the point that these principles that you're still practicing are the principles of all practice, no matter who the person is. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and just to recognize, it changes every time, every day. People. When I was teaching beginners, it's like, well, don't you get tired to do triangle? Why do you do the same salutations over and over? Don't you get? I said, every time you get on the mat, it's a different day.
Right.
It's if you pay attention, it's revealing, and it's kind of fun, how did it change today? What,
Right.
Where's the breath? Sorry, I got lost in my own.
Well, and as you said, that every breath as you said from your experience in the midst of the stroke, is that each breath was a new breath.
Yeah.
Each moment was a new moment. Powerful and fresh.
Yeah.
And that's what you discover when you practice, is that you are what I call, it is direct embrace of reality itself. So that's new, in every moment. Yeah.
Right.
And that's the pleasure, and that's the discovery.
Yeah.
Of your yoga.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And as UG Krishnamurti said, it is making love to life.
Very well put.
Very well put by UG. So that's your discovery.
Yeah.
And that's what you teach today.
Yeah. That's correct. Yeah.
And I just want to mention that these were Krishnamacharya's words about the breath is the guru. Yeah. The guru to your yoga is your breath.
Yeah.
Follow the breath, be with the breath. And he would even say, obey the breath and obey the guru.
I'll cop that one.
Yeah, that was his words. Kind of course, lighthearted. It's a joke, but it's a sincere joke. Obey the breath, obey your guru. Because the guru is the breath, the gauge to the posture is the breath. And particularly, Susan, I think you would agree, the union of the inhale, receptivity, with the exhale, strength. That union of strength receiving is what empowers the whole body, the nervous system that includes the mind, which is a refinement of the nervous system.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting you into the isness of life instead of. Yeah.
And you had mentioned to me that some people had a hard time coping with the change in you of losing your speech and losing your physical capability. It was sort of like a little freaky for some people. And there was perhaps went away.
Yeah, there's a judgment and there's fear.
Right.
Or people didn't know what to do, how to cope.
Yeah.
You did yoga and you still succumb to this. Well,
Yeah, you did yoga and you still got old and died. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Well, there's a lesson. However, what that did, I'm sure, Susan, is sorted out as who is in your sangha, who are your friends and who are not your friends.
yeah, and the people that disappeared from fright or fear, they didn't know what to do, but you're right. You find a different, more, not meaningful, but, well, my daughter and my speech therapist said I had to go to this support group, and I was not going to go. I'm not a joiner, that kind of thing. But they took me, and I ended up with like-minded people that understood and gave me a lot of time. Or if you need help, well, here's. I took this to them with. I'm going to discipline. I'm going to give you a good lesson on aphasia. Actually, you were talking about in Hawaii, you were teaching or had a talk with, help me. Come on, say. Yeah. Ram Dass, thank you. It was in the back of my mind, it wouldn't come around. And he, in his movie and his guides or his, they want to find the word for you, and it doesn't help to have them assault you with all these words.
Right.
And he would go, stop. And then just let me find it, or help. Yep. And I still give that advice to everybody that's new to my aphasia group. It was so powerful. This give me some space. Yeah. And then anyway, I get it. Like, let me be my own autonomous life with my own mind, and I'll get through this. Yeah. With my own capability. Yeah. But every now and again, when it's needed, you call upon your friend or whoever's there, like you just did. Come on, help me. Who? I wanted to sort of play it a bit and hold back. Come on, Oh, well, it's like the thought or the word is like circling around, finding a nice parking place. And sometimes it has to go around a couple times until it lands. And when people throw out all the helpful words, it just assaults the mind and you get lost. So that whole thing about let me reach for it. Right. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And so I called you to help me, and you did. And this group that you go to, it's been very fruitful to have the collective support of people who've shared the same. Yeah, I went and I was only going to go one time. And of course, the people that were taking care of me kept taking me every week. And it was at the hospital. And that was 10 years ago. And through time, I became kind of the leader of the group, or the.
That's what I'm saying. The nurturing force of life that comes through you.
Yeah, I have this. Yeah, and now I have a Zoom meeting every week.
Right.
For this time of absence. And it's been, you just marvel at the technology of having the Zoom, because we can get together. Yeah. And some people have very few words, and some people are much more fluent.
Yeah. And you are teaching them the unitary movement of body, breath, and mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Teaching yoga to this particular group.
Yeah, and most it's big. Some people have varying degrees of mobility, but the breath is always available. If you can breathe, you can do yoga.
Well, I think that group should grow and grow and grow and go way beyond Los Angeles and California into the rest of the United States and the rest of the world. You could facilitate that group. Be a good idea.
Yeah.
It could be, that could be done. But Susan, as I was saying, you are the nurturing force of life in your embodiment to your family, to your children, your grandchildren, to your friends, to your community in Los Angeles and beyond. And nothing holds you back from that function. That's what I've witnessed in your life. The word Krishnamacharya would use for you is to say, you are, in fact, an acharya. You are one who has had victory. These are his words. You've had victory over your own restrictions. Right? So therefore, you are extremely useful to other people who have had similar restrictions. And these are the yoga teachers, the capital Y, capital T yoga teachers, who work in cultural collaboration with the Jiva Mukti and the Avatar, the Christs and the Buddhas, etc. You do the teaching. You're on the ground level and do the teaching in detail. You give the yogas of participation in reality itself, in life as it actually is, which is a nurturing force. You give those to the people who, for in the mystery of life, who end up with you in your company. And I'm acknowledging you and thanking you for your for your demonstration and for the work that you do for so many people. We acknowledge you. We're very grateful for your company. And thanks for mentioning the dear Ramdas, our friend. And your life is, what he showed me is an example of longevity and well-being, mental, emotional, even physical health in a body that was declining, in a body that had had the trauma of the stroke. And he showed us that, and I think that it was a wonderful demonstration. And you are likewise. When I spoke to him, I said, thank you so much for showing us this how to age, even how to die, And his words to me was, oh yes, this decline, the illness, etc. He said it's just stuff that us yogis have to deal with. Just stuff.
It's so true. Yeah. It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah. And in the conversation that you and I had prior to this call, you said, nobody gets out through this life without, difficult things happening, such as the pandemics, or the pandemics, plural, racism and political insanity, et cetera,
on and on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it seems to me that you have gathered, found this word samtosha. You've found contentment. Samtosha, the Sanskrit word in the Yoga Sutra, yama niyamas, you've discovered that secret of contentment in the midst of difficulties. What'd you say?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I just have to keep on going in my own little way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to mention, Susan, that right now you are in Los Angeles in lockdown and have been for months.
Yeah.
An extreme with the usual, the usual lifestyle being taken off people and the economy's been taken off people. And, really you don't see your family physically, your children, your grandchildren, etc. You don't see your friends, you don't see your students physically, bodies in the same room. You don't hug and so forth. And furthermore, you are in that demographic of vulnerability, a person with pre-health conditions and older, 76 now, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's a little older. And you're the one that is likely to get this virus and die from it. As 344,000 people in the United States. Yeah.
Yeah. And my kids won't let me go anyplace. And, you want to at least go in your car and some kind of movement, but it's better to just stay at home. And it's hard. Yeah.
Main thing I want to bring forth here is that you have discovered that yoga secret of contentment in the midst of extreme difficulties.
Yeah. And again, back to the breath, sorry, but you get wound up either politically or the epidemic or in your mind, monkey mind, and you have to go back and say, right now, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Let's do something constructive or freak out for 10 minutes and then get it together. And the way to get together is to do some inhale and exhale, or inhale and exhale. Whatever, as Grandma used to say, 3 deep breaths.
We used to say, get through the first 3 reluctant breaths. First breath, oh, I feel like shit. Ugh. I still feel bad. Third breath. Oh, I wish I hadn't drunk that wine whole bottle last night. I feel. And fourth breath. Wow, it feels.
Wow,
I feel good.
I still am alive.
Only the 3-breath discipline.
Yeah.
And to cut through whole body, to be the whole body mind in the embrace of life as it actually is. You know, the unconditional light, reality itself that lights everything, that is appearing as everything. Even our unconsciousness and difficulties would not be there without this prior light, this prior unity, which is life.
That sums it all up.
Your yoga is that embrace. And it's needed. And so I acknowledge you for demonstrating that to us all. I mean, I have not had a stroke. I have not had cancer. And I look upon you and I go, you know, I can't imagine, you know, you going through this and showing, you know, so I bow down to that, this one who I am learning from, of how to do this life as the inevitable decline occurs.
Yeah.
Inevitable. And
yeah.
Thank you so much. And you're an example to all of us. And I want to go to this matter of you are now teaching in the way that yoga has always been taught, how it's always been and how it's meant to be. And that is the gathering of friends, sharing the tools of yoga for the nurturing of each person who comes, for the empowerment of each person that comes, in a gathering of friendship only. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think you've said it so eloquently through the years, and I learned from you, you know, these techniques or disciplines, if you will, to just follow your lead. Yeah. So thank you so much from our, how many years it is we've been friends? Yeah. 20.
I don't know. It's between 15 and 20. I don't know.
Yeah. At least 25 or something like that.
I remember going to meet Desikachar in the Yoga Works in Larchmont. Jeremy Hammond was there. I remember these unique occasions. So, you know, I haven't seen you that much, you know, every now and again coming in and, you know, much celebration in these meetings. But what I've seen is that like nothing has held you back from teaching and sharing these principles in your community. And not even a stroke has held you back. Not even a pandemic has held you back. And we have kind of taken a new turn, and this yoga industry as we knew it has not been very viable. It's no longer viable because we'll see what happens. But, you know, these gatherings in yoga studios, there's no economy in it anymore. We can't do it. And this matter of styles and brands of yoga, the patterning of, you know, muscular activity and, you know, exaggeration of shapes and so forth, and selling that as a commodity, that seems to be over, perhaps even completely over. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But in the midst of this, you have carried on via Zoom, and as I said, return to what yoga only is, and that is the teacher, no more than a friend, no less than a friend, and a gathering of sincere people who are there to
Right.
each other, help each other in the nurturing flow of life.
Yeah, and I think maybe this is one of the good things that will come from it, that yoga would go back to being kind of one or big one by one, or a small group of people.
Yeah.
Not this huge
Yeah.
rollout of everybody has to do this and everybody has to come to class and everybody has to go from level 1 to level 2. And, I think it's a new, fresh start for yoga.
It reminds me of the fresh leaves that are appearing on the trees that were devastated.
That was what it was going in my mind. It's like my brain is rebuilding. The leaves were sprouting again. Rebirth.
Freshness is immediately there, even in the pandemic.
Yeah, right.
A bow down and a salutation to you and all the yoga teachers all over the world, it's not a measure of how many people are coming into your studio, it's just what you do.
Yeah.
You do it, and now you're doing it by Zoom, and your friends gather in community via Zoom, and the nurturing force flows via these networks of light, glass to glass and heart to heart. And that's what you're doing, Susan. It's made that flow.
Trying to do my part, and soon we'll gather together again. I really think that's
it will happen. Humanity's got through every pandemic it's been through, and there's been many, many, many.
Right.
And I just want to say that your friends would come to this very room that you sit in right now with the beautiful Ganesh behind you. Yeah, there he is, the one who removes obstacles, the power of Mother Nature, the son of Shiva and Shakti, who clears the pathways within and without, that removes the obstacles, the force in the universe that removes the obstacles. That Ganesh is busy right now with humanity. There you go. You
would sing the little Ganesh song, chant, and I tried so hard to, the Sanskrit words, and sometimes they just come out, so as a second language,
And I know that your friends would come into this room with Ganesh and you and really enjoy that, come 2 or 3 times a week in privates or small groups. And now they come in via Zoom like we are right now, and they've reported that they received the same feeling from...
They like the room. It's it has its own little energy.
Yeah. And we've been doing this Zoom teaching, and it's curiously intimate to enter a person's space through the light, the speed of light through glass. Thank you, Steve Jobs. And it comes to each other like this. It's curiously intimate.
Yeah, it is. I couldn't say it any better. You see people in their homes, and the dog walks around, and the cat was, and still we do our little vinyasa as it, yeah.
Susan, one lady in Germany, she has 3 daughters, and one died. A young girl died. And I've never met this wonderful person. And we went through this together on Zoom meetings, her losing a daughter and her family coping with that grief. And the mother and father doing a yoga practice at home. And I've entered their home, and I enter their home sort of once a week. And the other little children, who of course are also grief-stricken, getting down on the floor with their mum. And their mum's doing a daily yoga practice, and the children are now doing it by osmosis because mum's doing it. This has happened via Zoom.
Yeah.
And I think, it's obviously one of the, miracles, God's miracle on earth, that we are communicating like this.
Yeah.
And somebody even said it's sort of like the cosmic network itself, the pathways of light. It's kind of like a
right. Wow.
idea. Yeah. The cosmos, which is, infinite grand patterning from the source, from the...
Wow. Yeah.
Zoom network's a bit like, well, it is that, pathways of light. And I think it's one of it's a silver lining that's come from the circumstance that we are all in.
Right. Right.
And and you're doing it, and nothing holds you back. And I think the demonstration of this, paradoxically, for me, I'm teaching many, many more people in the whole world, and places like Africa that I could never get to. Well, I could get there, but it wasn't in my global travel itinerary. But now we're doing it in this method of travel, and we're meeting a lot more people and putting out courses, and they can study the course and so forth like this. So it is a kind of a blessing, and I think it's part of the humanity's renewal for people to get an education, a yoga education, in the midst of these very real difficulties.
Yeah, very well put.
I'm hoping that the patterns of yoga as male muscular gymnastics and hierarchical, with some amazing person on top of the pyramid and everybody else struggling away in this linear effort, that will be found to be redundant and not useful, and that yoga will return to this method of actual friendship in sincere groups.
Right. I think it's headed in that decision, the direction before, this style of yoga, your own yoga. It was very poorly thought of for many years, and now there's an audience, and now this times being what they are right now, it's another leap forward in real authentic yoga. And I think the Zoom and the smaller, like you said, using the light and the technology, you said it very eloquently. So
I don't know what I said, but thank you. And a shout out to everybody all around the world who are continuing to do this.
Yeah,
they really love their students, and that they've realized that yoga is not commercial activity, although there may be some exchange, whatever. But their motive for doing it is because they have very real friends, and they love their students and care for their students. And
yeah, having removed the physical handshake or hug, you have to look a little bit deeper, and this Zoom thing is a way to connect a little bit deeper.
Well, I'm very moved by every person that I know and everyone who I don't know who their sort of commercial base has been taken off them, but they have not stopped at all from teaching. But
Yeah.
one lady in Munich, quite upset because her studio had to close down, and so I encouraged her, please go out on Zoom. 2 students. She's teaching 2 students and loving it, and nothing stopping her. Then 3 students, 4 students, and these are the real yoginis, the real yogis who do it. They love yoga, they love life, they love others.
But now my little studio, I can only like 8 people is a big crowd, but I have somebody, my daughter-in-law's mother comes from Florida, a friend from Pennsylvania, somebody up the coast. I mean,
truly,
we have
truly.
And then so we're getting around the obstacles and finding our way.
Space and time being no limit to the radiant love. Yeah. Well, I want to just do a little chant to seeing you raised it. I want to just say to Ganesh there, Om to Ganesh. Ganam tva ganapati gum havamahe gavin gavinam upamashavastamam jaistarajam brahmanam brahmanaspata anasrinvan otipishi dasadanam Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Susan. Hey, Susan, I was remembering, when UG Krishnamurti used to come into Palm Springs a lot every year. And I just want to wrap this up by asking you, I recall, loved going to see him.
We had lovely times.
Yeah. UG, this friend of Krishnamacharya and Desikachar and all of that. And I just want to ask you, what was that for you, you going to meet UG? You seem to, I know you loved it. You loved that meeting.
Yeah, it was an exceptional time, going out there, meeting all those devotees, meeting him and sitting in the little room with him. Sometimes we go out on, going to get chocolate or something, just his approach of life was so refreshing. I know people get startled or thrown off his teachings, or he doesn't call them teachings. It's so hard to talk about. But just sitting there, some people dozed off. But the little wisdom He would go. It doesn't, I don't know if it makes any sense, but one little story that I relish, one of the devotees is like having this certain water, and he would just get on and on about why you spending your water, your money on this piss water. You're just pissing it off. Why you just have water?
Making your piss.
And it's kind of distills the myth of all this. I don't know. I can't really explain what meeting him and sitting with him was about.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Well, you've tried to.
But it's something. It's really the building blocks of something big.
I get it. Well, I think you've explained.
Okay.
Yeah, you've explained it very well. I call him a reality realizer. Someone who resided as reality only, who was not obstructed in the body or mind from the power of the cosmos.
Yeah. And the little book that we had, his quotes, we'll call it, and they get reactive to it.
Yeah.
And his whole life, people have been up in arms because he's so radical, and he's not radical at all. For my sense of being, it's the truth.
He was described as like a cat sitting in the corner of the room in the natural state, unobstructed by mind. And this, what you mentioned, his skill or a special gift that he had to remove the seeking mind.
Yeah.
The mind.
And to why oh God, where's the words? To tear down somebody's rationale of his defense, and he would just slowly remove the obstacles his opponents.
Yeah. Yes, he had a special gift, a siddhi, if you like, of removing the seeking mind from people who and their investment in trying to become something, trying to get somewhere as if they are not already the power of the cosmos. Now, he's sitting there as the power of the cosmos with a special relational skill to help others remove their investment in becoming something other than what they are. And he said human suffering is trying to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
That little example of yours of somebody's highly invested in some amazing health food or some amazing water, and he's saying it's just making your piss expensive. No. So it's like that's an example of removing the, and then he'd say, equally, you'd say, I've got nothing against it.
Right.
I've got nothing against your special water or your healing technique, but would remove the precious seeking that goes into trying to get somewhere as if you're not already the pure intelligence and the beauty of reality.
Right.
And he did have that special gift. And in that room in Palm Springs, he got down on the floor with me and Melissa Forbes, wonderful Melissa, the great yogini. He called her the yogini. and he demonstrated yoga, and he'd been with Krishnamacharya for 3.5 years as his personal student. And he said yoga is only participation in the pranas, not a manipulation of the prana. A participation in life only, not trying to get somewhere in life as if you're not life, as if you're not the wonder of the cosmos, as if you're not the duplication of the cosmos.
Right.
As if you're not the cosmos, the profundity, the mystery of the cosmos, of anything appearing. We are that. He is. And he said, it never crossed my mind that I'm any different from you. That was so beautiful about him, to say he had no positioning over us as a superior person or a teacher or a guru or something. It was obvious to him that we're all this beauty, this magnificent, everybody, every person in your street right now is the cosmos walking and talking. And anyway.
Very, very happy times. Yeah, we got.
I knew you'd been touched by that meeting, Susan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he came to California because he loved the weather in Palm Springs and was on his circuit as he went around the world year by year. And he was, a special friend of our teachers, Krishnamacharya and Desikacharya. And I was aware that the relationship that you had with him did something for you that is a little curious and a little hard to speak of.
Yeah, I don't have all the verbiage and the fancy.
Yeah, you didn't have it before the stroke.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
I'm so glad you met him and that we had that time together.
Right.
There's definitely something communicated from such a person,
Yeah.
And I just want to tell you that you are now such a living person. You're not involved in the process of trying to get somewhere. You're not a seeker. You're a liver.
Right.
Stop looking, start living, as he used to say. You're living your life, even in the midst of all of this difficulty.
Yeah.
And Susan, thank you for being an example for us all through the pandemic.
Thank you for opportunity to speak with you. And if I have any anything I offer, it just comes, I don't know. I don't, sorry. Thank you for this opportunity.
It comes naturally.
Yeah.
Anything you offer, it comes out of your soul, your body, mind, your spirit.
Yeah.
It comes naturally because it comes.
Yeah, I guess.
You're not claiming anything.
No, I'm just a humble little old lady here.
Claiming to be the latest LA guru.
No.
Good if you wanted to.
No, I just do my little part. Yeah.
Right, Susan, thank you so much. We'll wind it up.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for your generous time. And we'll talk again soon.
All right, honey.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Heart of Yoga podcast. If you'd like to make this a two-way conversation, either in person or online, have a look at heartofyoga.com. And we're very grateful for the support of the Heart of Yoga Foundation, and that is completely sustained by donations. So if you'd like to help this podcast continue, you can also donate on the website. Thank you so much.